This is episode number 39 with Western artist and Arkansas native Faith Andrews. Did you know that October is National Women's Small Business Month? The entire month of October, we'll be bringing you episodes that celebrate the outstanding progress female entrepreneurs and leaders have made in our community. I can't wait to share each and every one of these women with you and their unique stories of how they're giving back and making a difference through the businesses they've worked so hard to build. Hey y'all, and welcome. You're listening to the Cowgirl Confessions Podcast. I'm your host, Dakota Dawn Johnson, small-town cowgirl with Southern roots, blazing a trail as a Midwest ranch wife, mama, and businesswoman. The mission of Cowgirl Confessions is to share the wonderfully wild and Western life stories of cowgirls from all walks of life. We'll talk about the highs, the lows, and everything in between when it comes to navigating careers, cowboys, kids, and cattle. Legendary cowgirl Dale Evans said it best. Cowgirl is a pioneer spirit, a special brand of American courage. The cowgirl faces life head-on, lives by her own lights, and makes no excuses. Cowgirls take stands. They speak up. They defend the things they hold dear. A cowgirl might be a rancher, a barrel racer, a bull rider, or an actress, but she's just as likely to be a checker at the local Winn-Dixie, a full-time mother, a banker, an attorney, or an astronaut. If you're into wet saddle blankets, talks with God, buckets full of laughter, and the life lessons learned in the process, kick off your boots and settle in. I pray these stories encourage, empower, and give you just the leg up you need. Here's to embracing the cowgirl state of mind, no matter how wild and Western life may get along the way. Faith, it is such a treat to get to visit with you today. Thank you for being on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I was so honored whenever you asked.
Yes, I feel like, it's been years since we've gotten to visit in person, but just you're one of those people that when you show up on social media, when you show up anywhere, you feel like you're still getting the real thing. I am excited for everybody to come and follow along with you because you have such a powerful story of, really just surrendering. And I can't wait for you to share that with us today.
Oh, thank you so much.
Before we kind of dive into some of the questions today, Faith, can you share with our listeners just a little bit more about you and kind of what life looks like in this current season for you?
Of course. Yeah. So I have been a stay-at-home mom for 2.5 years now, getting close to 3. It's hard to admit because your babies are growing up, but I went to college and wanted to pursue a graphic design degree, and life just looked a lot different. Then I ended up getting married, and we moved to Siloam, which isn't far from our hometowns. I'm from Prairie Grove, but my husband's from West Fork, and we ended up growing chickens for a couple of years. And while we did that, I continued to run my leather business and ended up closing that at the beginning of this year, which was a big deal for me because I've had it. That's the one thing I've had since before I was married. And I kind of had a little bit of identity from it and had to figure a few things out on the way through that. But now I'm just in a season of listening and trying to be still and figure out what the Lord wants me to do next. I take care of my son on a regular basis, and then we are in the middle of building a house in all of this mess, and just developing some more skills, and one of those being not taking control of everything.
Oh, wow.
So we're just in a season of learning and growing spiritually and mentally, and just trying to be the best we can be for the Lord and those around us. And it's been a great experience this year. It already feels like it's been a year, and we're a little over halfway through it, but it's been really great. I've really enjoyed getting to refocus on what I really love to do, which is be a commercial artist. I was able to sell my first commissioned painting this year, which was a goal of mine for a long time because I used to think I'd have to put my art on something for somebody to want to buy it. So that was a big deal for me. But yeah, we're really just trying to listen because we really don't know which direction we're supposed to go at this point.
Oh, so powerful that, you're even in tune enough to know that that's what this season is. And it's so easy for all of us, I think, to just stay kind of in this hustle, or rat race mentality sometimes. And that's so refreshing to hear you say that and say it with, while you may not know where he exactly wants you to be, you have so much clarity when you say, this is the season we're in, and I'm okay with that. Like, I know that's where we're supposed to be right now. So, just really, really glad you have that clarity. And how exciting is that you sold your first painting? Congratulations.
Thank you so much. It was I literally sat down in my closet and cried whenever I got that message. I was like, "That's so silly," but it was just a huge, huge confidence boost for me.
Oh, I can only imagine. And I mean, I'm sure the people are around you. I mean, I think about you and just, I feel like your family has an artistic gene, knowing your mom and your sister. Like, I feel like y'all are some of those, cowgirls that I can't imagine there's anything you can't do in the realm of art, or, whether it's art with a horse or art with a paintbrush. Like, y'all are just handy women, very, very creative. But to have that like come to fruition now, and I'm curious, did that happen you said that happened this year, right, in 2021,
The closing of my business?
when you actually sold your first commission painting?
Yes.
So it's
Yeah, so
like,
that happened
yeah.
shortly after I closed my business.
Oh my goodness. So like, what a God wink, like, hey,
Oh, yeah.
you're surrendering, you close this other business. And what was that like, Faith? And then also, if you could share a little bit with us, like, your rebranding is beautiful. I know a lot of times people are just like, oh, I'm that whole identity part you mentioned, to walk away and like just surrender it. Like, I'm walking away from this, when, maybe it wasn't even bad. It was just something you felt like you were called to do.
Right. And honestly, I was so thankful for all the people who follow along and were just concerned. They're like, "Okay, what's wrong?" Because, I did not close because of anything, related to COVID or lack of, orders or business or anything like that. It was purely God saying, "Stop," because I had more orders than I knew what to deal with. And one of my biggest personal pitfalls is I have trouble saying no. And I've recently learned that sometimes saying no is the most loving thing that you can do in many different areas of your life, not just in if you own a business. And so that was something that was very hard for me because I had to one deal with the image of what people would think or what people would, because you see things happen, you're like, oh, well, this probably happened. And I had to deal with that because it's hard enough just being a stay at home mom
Mm-hmm.
and what comes with that. I mean, we all know that being a mom, period, is hard, but it's a wonderful thing. And I highly encourage people to do it, but it is hard. And it's,
Mm-hmm.
it's something that grows you in a way if you work with it. And I think that um I was just really working against myself trying to control everything, and I was lacking in the most important things. And I think looking back on it now, it wasn't all okay. It wasn't all good, even though it looked like it was. I had the business. I was able to produce the product. In theory, I was doing what I loved, for a career, and I was able to stay home and raise my son. I was able to still help out on the farm. I was able to still make a home, but that's what I created for myself as my identity. I remember I used to tell my husband, this is the one thing that I haven't had to let go of. This is the one thing that's mine. This is me that I have not had to let go of. Because whenever you get pregnant and you are used to being able to go out and do everything with your husband and get up the cows and work the cows and go rope or all these different things, go ride dirt bikes or whatever it may be, and then all of a sudden you can't go. You have to sacrifice that time. You have to sacrifice the time that you would normally go run, or you would like to go to that event, but it's cold and flu season. You feel like it's smarter for you to keep your child home. You know, that was a huge sacrifice for me because I was so used to going and doing. And I was like, okay, I give that all up and I'm happy about it because I have a healthy, happy little boy that I get to spend all my time with. I'm very blessed to be able to stay home with him every day, but I can't give this up. And I just had that in my brain that this is the one thing that's me. And if I let go of this, then I lose me. And looking back on it, I'm like, wow, how wrong I was, because God has so much more for us than what our ideas are. And closing down, I actually was feeling like I should have around Christmas time. But I was like, I'm just going to step back for a full week and not get on social media, not market, not work in my shop, not do anything, but spend time with my family. And I was like, and that'll give me some clarity. That'll let me detox a little bit and give me fresh perspective on this. And by January, I was like, okay, now I know for sure that I'm supposed to close it. And as hard as that was, it was a little bit freeing because I had to go through that and realize that I was still okay, that I still had people checking on me and caring about what I was doing. And people didn't think less of me. They didn't think, oh, she can't hack it. And I think that was the biggest thing for me to realize was I was so stuck in that mindset that I have to be this to be me, or I have to be this to be successful or to be worth having this blessing. And that's a crazy thought to have, but I think we have that a lot with a lot of different things,
Oh yeah.
But it was just something that I never thought that I'd have to do. And that's why it was so clear that God was saying, all right, I need you to let go so that I can lead. And he did. I got to start doing things that I loved more with and include Daniel, because leather work, you got to be kind of careful. There's a lot of tools and sharp utensils and things like that he doesn't need to be touching because he's still young. But with the things that I love more, like painting and sketching and pen and ink and all that different pastels, he can do all of that and he loves it, and he can express his creativity like my mom let me do. And that's opened up a whole new avenue for us to interact with one another and do something to where it's not mom instructing him or him trying to show me how to play with his tractors. It's something that we can both enjoy and grow ourselves in. And that was a huge deal for me. And I was like, okay, well, this is cool. We're gonna keep going with this. And I just had a wild hair, and I was like, okay, let's see if anybody's even interested in buying any of my paintings. So I did a couple sample wood paintings, and
they're beautiful, by the way. Absolutely. like stunning. I mean,
thank
stunning.
you so much. It was really just a whim. It's a style that I've loved since college. I got to take a few art classes in my couple years in college, and it's very freeing. It's very relaxing, and Daniel loves it. Anything cows, Daniel loves. So that worked out great. But it just blew up. Everybody was messaging me and ordering, and I was just like, wow, God, like, why did I not listen sooner? Because I was in a rut with something that I thought was my dream, but in reality, my little boy would go to bed at 8 p.m. I would clean up after supper and I'd go out to the shop, and sometimes I wouldn't come back in until 8 a.m. the next morning to get things done. And then he would wake up and we would go on with our day. And I might get a little nap in, whenever he naps. And then I would sleep a few hours the next night and do the same thing. And that was just like taking its toll on me. But I was like, you got to work hard. You got to push through. You got to do all these things to make your dream happen. But now I have a completely different mindset about that. And I'm not saying anything against hard work. Hard work is a very important thing. But I think it's more important to make sure you're pointed in the right direction that has not been influenced by you, but by God. Because his plan is so much better. And that's something that we hear all the time, but I'm here as a living example. Whenever I got out of college, I wanted to be a commercial artist. But I always thought, where I live in the state of Arkansas, it's hard to make a living doing that. And now here I am doing it. And so I was just like, you know what? I need to focus more on not putting God in a box and not saying, it's okay, God, I got this part. You can handle that other stuff and I'll handle this. And just stop, be still, and listen. Because if you get to going too fast chasing your dreams or what you think are your dreams, you might miss something that's so much bigger and so much better that you didn't realize that you needed or wanted.
You have just dropped the meat and potatoes stuff that we don't need to get in a hurry and rush through and forget. Like, just so much wonderful advice from a sister in Christ. And thank you for sharing just all of that with us in your walk. And before we go kind of dive into anything else, if somebody is wanting to reach out to you for a painting, how do they need to do that? And where can they go to kind of find examples of your work?
Right now, I've been using my social media platform as kind of a small portfolio. Eventually, it's going to build into more. I've got a lot of works in progress, but it is under Wild Faith on Instagram. And that's the only avenue I have at this moment. They are more than welcome to send me an email at faithworks413@gmail.com. And that's probably the best way, is through email. But if they want to see examples or just my style, you can get a pretty good idea of that from my Instagram page. And if you don't have Instagram, they can email me and request some portfolio pictures. So that's not a problem at all.
Oh, hey, we all have to start somewhere, and you are well on your way, sister.
Christmas is right around the corner, y'all, and I don't know about you, but I've reached a point in my life where I want to keep gift giving simple while meaningful. My friend Julie and her staff at High Call Outfitters are ready and eager to help you find that perfect gift for your special someone, or maybe even yourself. They have gift cards available and everything you could possibly need, whether you're looking for something to take you to the practice pen, the boardroom, or somewhere in between. They literally have it all to help you look sharp for any occasion. And for the entire month of October, you can use the coupon code Ship free on any purchase of $75 or more to receive free shipping. That's right, use coupon code SHIPFREE on any purchase of $75 or more to receive free shipping the entire month of October. Be sure to visit www.highcalloutfitters.com and let them know you heard about them on the Cowgirl Confessions podcast.
You just sound so grounded, and I'm wondering, what's something that you're reading or listening to currently that you feel like is just helping you with this mindset and overall attitude that you and your husband are just really embracing right now?
Yeah, so we actually have a few different things. My husband is huge into podcasts, any kind of podcast. He's fitness, hunting, uh, church. Right now, we listen to a lot of Life Church
Mm-hmm.
on Spotify, and his messages are just spot on for me as far as the way I think about things and the way I allow myself to think about things. And it's really helped me a lot with positivity and seeing the blessings in everything, which has made the biggest difference. My husband bought me a book last Christmas, and it's sad because I'm just now getting to read it. Uh, but it's called Point of View by Candace Burr, and it's been very helpful. Through a lot of it, for me personally, it's not my personal situations because she was on talk shows and on the Survivor and all these different things. But towards the end, she shows that transition from exactly what I just went through, but in a different situation. So she went from being on TV to having to feeling like she needed to stay home and raise
Mm-hmm.
her children, be with her kids during a season. And that's kind of what I had to transition into. And she talks about how you have to change your mind on how you see that, because for a lot of people we see that as kind of a step back, like, well, you were a mom in this but now you're just a mom, it's kind of like a demotion, but it's not
Yeah.
at all. Because she puts it in a different point of view, no pun intended, but she talks about how she had to change her mind on how she sees that, because she went into it thinking, well, I'm used to, being on Fox News talking about all these huge, hard issues. And now all I have to do is get up and make breakfast for my kids. She's like, I got this. And the first morning that she wakes up to do that, she realizes that she doesn't have that because she sees what her family's been having to do without her
Mm.
for so long. And she wasn't prepared for that. And so I'm almost through with it, but it's been great for me and very encouraging that I'm not alone in how I have to fight those certain thoughts and certain feelings. So if there's anybody else going through those kind of situations, I highly, highly recommend this book. Or if you have trouble with uh, working too hard and pushing too hard, that's a good book for that as well.
Oh, I'll definitely be checking that book out. Yeah, it sounds like a really, really good one. Thank you for sharing that. And props to your husband for being that podcast junkie. That's so me. And I really enjoy listening to Life Church and Pastor Craig Rochelle. He just has a way with delivering a message that just really hits home for me as well.
Same. He is a blessing for sure.
Yeah, and he just the way he's able to use his platform and all the people that he's touching. I'm just like, man, this is incredible for God's kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
Faith, what is one of the biggest challenges you've faced, getting to where you are now?
I would definitely have to say one of the biggest challenges is fighting the social expectations, or what we think they are, or what we think we should be doing. So let me explain that a little bit. Um, we the thing about today's society is we have so much to look at. We have so much social media and just plain media in general to compare ourselves to or compare our lives to, or to question why that's that way for one person but not for me. And a lot of times it's because there's something different for you. But if we don't stop and slow down and be still and listen and seek God through his word and in prayer, if we don't take those times to do what is more important and to focus on who can show us those answers, then we kind of miss the point, and we don't realize that we're running in circles trying to obtain something that once we reach it, we're gonna be like, well, this isn't what I thought it was. Maybe I need to go further. And it just goes into a spiral effect of things not being fulfilling, life not being fulfilling, because we're basing it off of what we think things should look like or what we think things should be. And really we need to let God set those limitations or expectations or goals, and then push towards those and not worry about what everybody else sees or what everybody else thinks. You talked about my social media and my rebranding earlier,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a hard one. I think with that, for me personally, I have to detox every once in a while and just take the apps off my phone, because you get so caught up in trying to make things look just right or say things just right, or oh, I didn't post today, oh no, and getting anxiety about that, because in order to be competitive and to keep up with everybody else, you got to do this and you got to do this and you got to do that. And if we just slow down and breathe, it's like it's going to be okay. there's no reason for that to cause anxiety and stress, because we think we have to compete constantly, or we think everything has to look perfect, or it has to make somebody else think, oh, they've got it all together. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. And with our social media, you don't really get that vibe. And that's why I try to be as real as I possibly can with the photos that I take or with the messages that I share, because I see these little girls, and I say little girls. I'm not very old, I know that, but I see these young girls and what they see, and I'm like, you can still be beautiful. You can still be in style. You can still feel a part of something without having to do those things that may push your morals or your standards a little bit. You need to
And
listen and find those things through the word and not through what that account's doing or what this account is doing. And sometimes whenever you're doing marketing research, it's hard to separate the two. And so for me personally, that's one thing that I have to do, is not put those expectations on myself or the unnecessary competitiveness, you know, if that makes sense. I feel like I'm rambling a little bit on that one, because usually whenever I'm really passionate about something, I tend to ramble. But that's
no,
just
I
one
love it. You weren't rambling. I think you were, just speaking from the heart. And it's like one of those challenges I feel like we all, for better or worse, face in some way, because just social media is a beast right now, and it can be a great
yeah.
thing. But it's like it's a tool, and we have to determine how we're going to use it. And I think we're all guilty in some way or another, whether it's mindless scrolling or if it's truly like an addiction to trying to build our business. And we feel like, God blessed us with a business and we're trying to, do work for him, whatever that might look like. It's easy to become consumed by it without even realizing it. And so it is a challenge.
Right.
So yeah, I'm really glad that you dove into that and shared more of your insight on it.
Yeah. And, it is a great thing. It can be such a great tool, and we need so much more positivity on there, so much more reality
Mm-hmm.
on there. a lot of people say, we don't need filters, we don't need this. And I completely agree. But I love editing photos.
Yes.
So that's why my photos, that's one thing, like, just because somebody edits their photos, that's not a bad thing. If you enjoy editing photos, go for it. But don't feel like you have to be beautiful or to up your game, so to speak, or to be more popular. Do it because you love it.
Right. Right. We were visiting before, just talking about, back in, rodeo queen days and just, your horse experience and things like that. And I know we haven't really even touched on that hardly at all, but, you are through and through a cowgirl. You have a quarter horse named Ollie that your grandpa and sister trained, which I'm sure is so, so special. And I'm wondering, Faith, through all of, growing up around horses and stuff, what's the wildest thing you've ever had to patch together with duct tape, baling wire, or bungee cords?
A lot of instances of having to use baling wire as a belt comes to mind. I don't think there was just one. Probably the most recent would be last year. I finally got to go ride motorcycles in Tennessee with my dad and my husband and my family up there, and I had to wear my dad's clothes, and he's quite a bit bigger than me, and so I couldn't hold up the pants, so I got my toolbox in my truck and strapped a bungee cord around and stuck some gloves down in it so that it did around the actual hooks so that it didn't bruise back. And so I wrapped gloves around it, and then we took off.
Oh, that's
and everybody
awesome.
was laughing all day. But you do what you gotta do.
That's right. You can't miss out on an adventure just because your britches are too big. Literally, you weren't too big for your britches. Your britches were too big.
I couldn't pass up that opportunity to not have to ride in the buggy and get to drive.
Yeah. Oh, so fun. Faith, it's just been a real pleasure getting to learn more about your story today and share that with other people. And this podcast is dedicated to sharing the cowgirl state of mind with women across the globe. So can you share with us what the phrase cowgirl state of mind means to you?
Yeah. For me personally, it's more of a class of its own. A cowgirl state of mind is a mind that doesn't have to prove anything to anybody, but just strives to be her absolute best 100% of the time, and her absolute best for not her benefit, but for God's benefit. And no matter who's watching, no matter what's going on, seeking truth, doing what's right, and giving your 110%.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. We need more cowgirls, and I'm thankful to know you and to get you to call you my cowgirl friend, Faith.
Oh, thank you so much. Same to you.
Thank you for spending your time with me on the Cowgirl Confessions podcast. I'm so glad y'all stopped by. If you could take a moment to share this episode and tag us on social media, I'd be happier than a cowgirl in a sea of buy one, get one vintage turquoise. Subscribe to make sure you don't miss an episode. New episodes will be released bi-monthly. Please leave us a review if you feel so led by going to iTunes. Your feedback will really help us breed the idea of grabbing life by the horns with a cowgirl state of mind into women across the globe. Some that may have never even had the privilege to throw their leg over a horse, but could most certainly use the cowgirl state of mind while navigating life. Thanks again, y'all. Until next time, keep pursuing your dreams with that all go and no woe mentality. Remember, you're writing a story that's worth saddling up for, sister.